Hello everyone, welcome to another recipe, and today we're going to be making banana cocoa love. So here we go. Yes, and if you're looking at this recipe and you feel like it looks familiar, yes, you're partly right. So we're making chocolate banana bread with orange flavor. Yes, I know the combination, guys, of chocolate and orange is so good. You don't want to miss this, okay? Watch carefully as we go ahead to start with our introductions. And first is the main guy of the show, which is bananas. And you want to make sure it's really ripe bananas, okay? Someone would say that if you have the spots on them, it is really good. And that's because it just shows that it was naturally and organically ripe without being forced to ripe. And that's why people say you should look for bananas with spots on them. And I also agree with that because it actually works. Otherwise, if you don't have your banana fully ripened, you can put that in an oven, allow it to brown a bit, and then you're going to take that out, okay? But really the main rule here is make sure to use really ripe bananas for best flavor, okay? Here I also have my yogurt. I'm going to add it as my acid, plus it's going to add that milk flavor. And here I also have my brown sugar and white sugar, white granulated sugar. So this particular one is dark brown sugar, okay? It is just the amount of molasses that's used to color the white sugar, right? And now I'm also going to be using margarine, okay? As you know, you can always replace this with butter. It's going to give you much more flavor. Again, feel free to use your margarine. It equally works, right? And for this recipe, you want to make sure that the butter is softened butter, not melted butter. So if you have your butter kept in the fridge and it's still hard, get it out and put it on your countertop, and then you're good to go. Next, we have our flour. I have a combination of all-purpose flour here and also our bicarbonate soda, also known as baking soda, right? And there's a difference between baking soda and baking powder, okay? The combination of baking soda with an acid, which is what you'll find in your yogurt, is what makes it work. But for baking powder, you do not need to activate it with that acid. So baking powder has both baking soda, it has acid, and it has flour, right? That's what makes up your baking powder. But your baking soda requires an acid for it to activate. They are both rising agents, okay? So pay attention. They are both rising agents. They act just like your yeast, okay? That's why you will have banana bread have a lift. So that's the difference between the two. And now you also have your chocolate chips. You can decide to use a combination of chocolate chips. I always love to use both milk chocolate and dark chocolate. Dark chocolate has a lot more cocoa in it, so it's a bit bitter. Milk chocolate is a lot sweeter. And here we have cocoa powder. Cocoa powder is basically gotten from your cacao seeds that has been roasted and fermented. So that's how you get your cocoa powder. I'm giving you the history of all these things to understand what goes into what you're making. And here we have our salt, okay? You also have your vanilla extras. There are people who have vanilla pods available to them. Feel free to use your vanilla pods. Just split it open and scrape up the lovely vanilla flavor from inside, and you get your vanilla flavor. I'm also going to be using eggs in this recipe, right? 3 eggs for this recipe is what we're going to be using. Make sure it's fresh and do well to crack it in a separate bowl if you're not sure. And here is one of the stars of the show. It's our orange. I like using my clementines. Orange at this time in Nigeria is quite bitter, so I prefer to use the imported orange, which is clementine. So feel free to use whichever one is sweeter, depending on the season you're making it in. I'm also going to use the zest of the orange, okay? And now that we're done with the introductions, let's get right into our baking. So first, you want to get into your bowl your softened butter. I keep emphasizing softened, not melted butter, because there's a difference, and also not cold butter. Softened butter, you want it to be at room temperature, right? So if you're those that are using your butter in a stick, me, I'm using margarine here, right? You want to be able to bend the butter, right, so that it doesn't break, okay? That shows you that it is softened. If it breaks, it might mean that it's too cold. If it's melting and turning into oil, it means that it is too soft. The thing about baking is that it's very precise. A little change in temperature can alter the result you will get, okay? And that's the reason why you really want to stick to the instructions. Okay, so here I have the combination of my brown sugar and my white sugar. I'm using a lot more brown sugar because I love that caramel flavor that it gives, especially for my banana bread, right? And then you also have the white sugar, which is also going to add another level of sweetness to that. So that's why I always use a combination. However, if you don't have brown sugar, feel free to use your white sugar. That is going to work also. Okay, so now I'm just going to whisk this together. You want to whisk it so good that it is properly incorporated. The idea of it is that you don't want to see granules of sugar. It's going to become fluffy. You will also notice a color change, a visible color change. If you're using white sugar only with your butter, okay, there's a way you're going to cream it, it becomes super white. And for our brown sugar, notice how it has gotten lighter in color. That means that it is being whisked properly. Now, if you don't have an electric mixer, what you can also use is your regular hand whisk. It's going to take you a longer time, but you're going to achieve the same results, okay? So I'm just going to keep whisking and whisking until you see that visible change in color. It has turned really, really white, not as dark as the brown sugar that we had put in. So this is where you know that you have whisked it long enough and it's light. So we're going to go to the next step. And now you want to swap that bowl, right? I'm going to get a nice white bowl and we're going to be opening up our bananas into that bowl. I'm going to be using about 4 bananas, okay? This is going to get you a medium-sized banana bread. So if you're making a large batch, you probably want to double that and also double every other measurements I'm using. I'm going to be using 4 bananas. I'm going to be mashing that up. You can use your fork, and I always like to show you different ways that you can do things if you don't have certain kitchen gadgets in your kitchen. Because I know I have a mixed class here, I have workers here, I have students here, and I want to be able to show you that you can use different ways to achieve the same thing. Even though it will take longer time, you can still use what you have to create what you want to see. So I've switched now to using my potato masher, right? This is faster, a lot faster, and it's going to get that bananas all mashed. When it comes to mashing your bananas, you want to make sure that you mash it properly and well. I know some people have made banana bread where you get to say chunks of banana in it. I don't like that. I think you should be able to eat banana bread without chewing bananas in there. That's your preference, no wahala. But otherwise, I love mine really, really finely mashed like this, and this is what you want to see, okay? And now we're going to be adding our lemon juice, okay? Now I'm using lemon juice because it's going to add freshness to the banana bread, and it's also going to help the banana not to brown. Yes, so most of you that have noticed when you open up your bananas and you just leave the kitchen and come back, it has turned brown. It's the same thing that happens with apples. Oxidization is what it's called, okay? So you don't want that happening also with your banana. So what you want to do is add a little bit of lemon juice, mix it together, and then set it aside. That way you have it fresh, you have it looking really good, you don't have it all brown. I'm using about half tablespoon, and there are differences between tablespoons and teaspoons, so you want to also get your measurements right. If possible, please go ahead and buy your measuring spoons that have standard measurements on them, so you don't have to be guessing your way through baking. So we're just going to ensure that it is properly mixed in, mix it properly, and then we can now set it aside and go into the next process. This next process, we're going to mix our dry flour. So far we've used about 3 bowls. Yeah, so get your bowls ready. We're going to put in that mix of all-purpose flour and our baking soda, and then cocoa powder is going to be going in right now at this point. Our salt is also going to be going in. All the measurements are going to be on the main channel. Mix, mix, mix until well mixed together. And now it's time to add our chocolate chips. Now you're wondering, why are we adding chocolate chips at this point? The reason we are adding it is because you want it to coat the flour, okay? You want the flour to coat around the chocolate chips. If that doesn't happen, what happens is when you put in your chocolate chips as it is and mix with your banana bread batter, it's going to sink to the bottom. This has happened to me before, and it was so sad because I just saw all my chocolate chips at the bottom of the bread, and you don't want that. So the flour is going to help it to hold its position and stick at random places in the batter, and it wouldn't sink to the bottom. So that's the reason why we're coating that, okay? So just look at that. You just have it nicely coated, and it's just going to help that to stick. And that's the simple reason why we're putting it now. Otherwise, you can as well just put it at any point during the mixing of the batter, okay? So once this is all mixed, we're going to go ahead to the next step. We already have our butter and sugar that has been creamed up, okay? And now we're going to add more ingredients into this batter just to make it our wet batter. So now you're going to crack some eggs into this, and you want to crack it into a separate bowl. And the reason we're doing this, aside the fact that I'm now showing you how we should usually crack your eggs in a separate bowl before adding it to the rest of the thing, right? Because you don't want a case where you crack a rotten egg into your batter and you have to throw everything away. The reason we're doing this is so we are able to efficiently whisk this together. So notice that I added only 1 egg first, and now I'm going to nicely add the others bit by bit. You want to just ensure it is mixed properly. That's the only reason we're doing this. Otherwise, if you have a bigger whisk or an industrial whisk, You can have them pour the eggs at the same time, and that works. Notice how the consistency of that batter has changed. It's really light, it's really airy, it's looking super creamy. This is the exact consistency you want to get. If you're using a hand whisk, you want to make sure to get it to this point, right, before you continue to proceed with the other stage. So please do it right and follow the steps as is so you don't get a different result. It's at this point I'm now going to add the yogurt. Okay, our sweetened Greek yogurt. I'm just going to add that lump into it, and we're going to again whisk, whisk, whisk. We're doing all our whisking now because as soon as the flour is going to hit the wet batter, you do not want to whisk anymore. You're just going to fold it in nicely. What I added now was the mashed bananas. Remember the bananas and the lemon juice that we did earlier? That just went in. And we're going to also whisk that again together. This is things that take like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, just to make sure it is well mixed together. And now to literally my favorite part, which is adding clementines or orange into that batter. I'm just going to cut that up. Now, some clementines come without seed, so it's okay to squeeze directly into the batter. However, if you notice that yours has seed, just use your hand to serve as a decanter. Just put it like a sieve, right? And then you'll be able to get out the seeds while the juice goes right into that juice. The freshness that this gives is just so good that you would not want to make your banana bread any other way. Add that juice into it and then whisk again as always. Make sure you have it all whisked into that batter and well incorporated. Now I'm going to add the vanilla extract. Okay, so every single wet batter is going in right now, every single thing. Mix all of that together. All these things we're doing, it might look long, but the process is really going to help you get the best result. Now we're good with this. Now let's combine everything together and make the best banana bread you've ever had. Now we have our mix of the dry ingredients. Remember the chocolate chips, the flour, the cocoa powder, the salt. All of that is going in now, and we're mixing it nicely. Okay, we're not pouring everything at once. Just pour it in and just fold it into that liquid. And notice that I'm not using the whisk, I'm using my spoon just to fold it in nicely from the center to the sides, round the sides. Okay, just nicely. Don't over mix this batter. And this is where people will tell you that, are we making cake or bread? Because this process is what you would do if you're making cake, right? So people are always have these arguments of, should it be called banana bread or banana cake? Well, it's called banana bread. So we maintain that it is banana bread. And I can imagine you're asking, why can't we just use the whisk, okay, instead of just using this painful process of just stirring it slowly and nicely? And that's because you don't want to allow it to form gluten. Okay, you don't want it to form gluten where you have the starch. Now, you know how you make your bread and it's like drawing and pulling? You don't want that with the cake. You want it to just kind of fold in nicely so you don't over mix that batter. Here I'm adding my orange zest. You're just going to grate the side of your orange. Lovely, lovely flavor from that. It is so good. This is going to further highlight the orange flavor that we put in that banana bread. And that's why I'm putting my orange zest, okay? You can use lemon zest if you are a lemon lover. So just mix everything together again. Don't over mix, just fold, fold, fold. And at this point, your oven should already be hot, okay? Put your oven on, preheat your oven. You don't want to put this batter into a cold oven, okay? You want it to go in and already begin to work and rise. And here I'm showing you my home hack of having a non-stick pan, even though you don't have a non-stick pan. So the first thing you want to do is to put in your butter, rub it around the sides of the pan, and then put in some flour, allow it to go around the sides of the pan, pour out the excess flour, make sure it coats it well, and this is what you should have, okay? It should look like this, where you have butter and flour all over. Now we're almost done, guys. We're almost there. You're going to now pour in all that lovely batter into your baking pan, and guys, make sure you don't pour everything at once. If you notice that your pan is going to overflow, please change and use a different pan, okay? And because I call this a double chocolate banana bread, I'm going to layer with some chocolate. Notice that it's also coated in just flour, right, so it doesn't stick to the bottom, and then you have your extra butter going on top of it. You don't want to fill your pan to the brim because you want to give space for it to rise. The space here that you can see between the butter and my pan is just the right space you want to give, okay? If you notice that it's going to get to the top, reduce the quantity and bake in another pan, right? And just layer it with some chocolate chips because I love to be extra and I'm a lover of chocolates. This is going to go into my air fryer to bake, and guys, this is what we have, our banana bread. it's ready. Not just an ordinary banana bread, double chocolate banana bread. And if you want it even more moist, you know what you do? Get that orange by the side, squeeze it all over it while it's hot. It's going to go and soak that bread. It's so good. And there you have it. It's so good. Let me show you a slice of it and enjoy. And just before I show you a slice of that, I needed to show you how to know that your banana bread is ready. Get a skewer, put it at the center of the bread. Bring it out and it should come out dry. If it comes out wet with butter, it means it is not fully baked. So you may see that, oh, bake for 16 minutes and yours at 40 minutes is already looking good. Guys, it means you should take it out. You don't have to wait till the 60 minutes. Or you could realize that, oh, you're baking yours at 60 minutes, it's still looking like it's not ready yet. Please keep on baking until it's fully baked. Don't get it out because I said 60 minutes, okay? Your skewer is your perfect way to test it. And it's that time to slice it up and show you what it looks like, guys. This is so soft. It was so moist. You can see chocolate all over, just as we wanted it to be. And that is double chocolate goodness. And guys, once again, this is what we have.